Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I'm very happy to have Matt Mazany with me. Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff? What's going on?
You know, I got you here. I got you here for a podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. Talk about movies, flicks, whatever we call them, like talkies. They call them. They used to call them
the talkies. Yeah,
the talkies, baby. We love them. We love them so much.
You make it sound like your next film is going to be a silent film, just for the point of it.
I would. I mean, we can already get into it, but I've done so much directing of true crime shows. I direct recreations for true crime shows, like so when there's murders and stuff, which is not my thing in terms of my genre because I like comedy. However, I was fascinated when you do a lot of that work just to be like, you can't use faces and you can't use dialogue, but you can get a lot out of just blocking and tone and mood. So maybe I will do a silent thing. I've been training for it.
I really threw a tangent into your
introduction. Yes, I know, right in the introduction.
I am so bad about tangents. If you and I are both bad about tangents, this is going to be a fun conversation because honestly, conversation's all about tangents.
Let's ride around. Let's do it, man.
But I'm going to be focused right now because I have to introduce you properly.
Please.
You, sir, wrote and directed Big Brothers. Big Brothers was at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in 2024 and actually got the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Writing Comedy for you as the writer.
That's awesome. I really appreciate what a fun time was there.
And I'm going to point out, just in case you didn't know, that the Filmmakers Awards, that's chosen by the Filmmakers Board, which is a jury that is all alumni of the festival. So it's just it's your peers who are currently making films. It's not, sometimes I shit on the Grand Jury Awards because everyone thinks the Grand Jury Awards are better. But the truth is, the Grand Jury Awards, that's the selection committee. And, it's not as diverse. It's not as interested. It's actually people who aren't making shit anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
When your peers look at it and go, that's the best written thing of the year. Like, it's cooler, right?
I think it's so cool. I mean, yeah. When I talk to when I've been running this Big Brothers around the festival circuit, I do love hearing other filmmakers because another filmmaker will ask the questions, just like the types of things, like, oh, what how many days did you shoot? Like they just want to know, like they see, like, because I mean, I always watch a short film and I just clock in my head like, oh, this was probably 2 days of a full crew because it was at this 2 locations, and then they had 1 location that was a satellite thing, but it was only with 2 actors. I bet that was only just a half day pickup with you start to like put together the pieces of how they do it, and so when somebody who's like making stuff, compliments like the writing, they're like, oh, I'm glad they liked it, because also when you're doing a short, you have to be economical with your writing because you can't pay to shoot a 20-page script, so you got to get that 20-page script down to 13 to kind of make it all work. So they know that experience stuff knows
for sure. In fact, questions from other filmmakers during Q&As, they're always so great. That's actually I think that's one of the reasons why we always start our festival with like a party or a gathering so that people can meet each other. And because if people meet first, then they go to each other's screenings and then they ask really good questions.
Yeah.
And not to shit on the Joke You public, but sometimes they just put up their hand and go, "What it cost?" And it's like, right. I don't care for that question. So I always interrupt, actually. I always go, wait. If I'm the moderator, I go, wait. You don't have to answer that one.
Yeah. That's interesting that you bring that up, because I kind of made it a point during Big Brothers to not ever publicly say the cost. Because the reason why is, I'll tell you what, because I say this, there's what that short film cost, and there's what I spent to make it. And those are 2 very different things. And the reason why is because if I paid everybody at full rates and everything that came in, that like my locations, certain actors, certain crew, like this movie is a 6-figure movie. If I paid full rate, that's not what I paid. But the reason I got there was because years of working with the same people and bringing in, and they wanted to work with me, and I gave them something to kind of work on that they could do. And when the reason I don't talk about the cost of it is that, like, if there's like a 22-year-old filmmaker who's like just out of film school, they want to make a short and they see Big Brothers, they go like, man, this thing was awesome, and it only cost them blankety blank, because that's a story a lot of filmmakers do. And then they start trying to put that film together. They're like, wait a second, this thing is costing. Somebody just gave me a budget. It's $90,000. I saw this, So it's like you can't start. I don't know. I if you want to get into a beef, I hate. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get into a beef. Let's talk about it. I hate the you got a camera in your pocket people. I hate that thing. I don't like that vibe. I think it's in some ways it's discouraging. I know that people use it as a point of like inspiration, but that's like not what it's not what a certain level of filmmaking is. Like filmmaking at the level that I like to do it and want to do it is with a bunch of different professionals. It's very collaborative, and it's a very like almost like the feeling of this like, you know, it's like the ship. It's like it takes a whole crew to make a ship go. And I love that feeling. And the idea was like, you got a phone in your pocket, just go with your friends and shoot something. And that's fun and that's cool. And it's great for certain things, but I just don't think it's like filmmaking as I grew up watching it.
And it's rare. Look, sometimes someone does something wonderful that way.
Yes.
But the majority, and now is where I say the very tired thing I say way too often, which is I do see 1,500 or so films a year that get submitted to the festivals. So I talk to you, and I'm going to say during this podcast many times how great your film is.
Oh, thanks.
I tell everyone how great their work is, and I was like, well, you love everything. And I'm like, are you kidding? I am talking to one of the 60 people out of 800 whose films we took.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you want me to talk about the other 740 films?
Yeah.
I'm not such a nice guy. Because, like, you know, it affects my mood when I sit on the couch in that next room and I'm watching submissions and I see like 5-10 shitty films in a row.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I curl into the fetal position and say, oh my God, we're going to have a shitty festival this year. What's going on? Why is everything bad? So that's why I love the good ones so much, because honestly, like, you know, these festivals have become my life basically. And
yeah.
So people who make good shit give me a reason to get up in the morning.
And that's one of the things that, you know, a lot of people ask you when you're on the other side of a festival run with a film. It's like, well, what'd you get out of it? What'd you get out of it? Which I think is like funny because number one, you don't know what you're going to get out of making a short film. It'd be so great if somebody tapped you on the shoulder and said, I'd like to give you, I'm Dr. Hollywood. I'm going to give you $2 million to make this a feature. And that's like, you know, it always could turn into that. You're working on that. However, I think one of the things I really got out of it was like when I went to all these festivals, I really tried to engage with as many of the films as I can because it's so interesting to see what people are making, what's at top of mind for people creatively. Like seeing like if you go to a bunch of different festivals, seeing like what kind of themes keep on showing up in these shorts, and also just like you know in a time when times are uncertain or whatever. Seeing a group of shorts that people like invested in themselves and made because they're so hard to make, you really need to get people together. You need to like rally to do it. Like that, seeing that what kind of work people put in is inspiring because you're just like, man, if there's so many people that are really doing it, and really trying, and to varying degrees of success, but it really just pumps you up.
It really does, and shorts really are. I mean, I love great features that we get at the indie level, but the indie, like you said, the indie short, no one makes an indie short with the idea that like, oh, this is my retirement plan.
Right.
You know, like I think people who make features, rightfully so, are hoping that it breaks through.
Yeah.
But I mean, a short breaking through is, you know, getting an Oscar and no one still sees it.
Yeah.
Like a handful of people saw the last Oscar winner for best live action short. Like,
right.
I happened to see it because it was a submission.
Yeah,
but
I actually I had a funny thrill watching it because it was I Am Not a Robot.
I Am Not a Robot.
It was really great. I saw it at a festival and I was like, this is good. I really like it. And then I saw it was in the short film category. I was like, wow, it's good. And I always say this thing for the Oscar categories. There's always like one funny one. And this year it was I Am Not a Robot. It was probably the closest. It's very serious, but it turns out to be funny. It starts off very funny, and I as in the Oscar picks like which one because I watched all the shorts. Which one did you pick? Well, it's like don't pick I Am Not a Robot because they'll never give it to the funny one. And then when it won, everybody's like, hey, look, the funny one won.
Yeah, and like, foreign language too. It was a surprise. I can talk about I've learned a little too much about the Oscar process, but I was glad it won. Yeah, and actually, the only reason it didn't screen at the festival you were in, is they had transitioned to their Oscar hunt and they were told to lay off the festivals.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean the whole world of the festival stuff has like opened up like to me this last year, and it's so interesting. It's such a I don't even want to say because it sounds demeaning to say it, but it's like a scene, but it's like a whole thing you have to learn. And I think when I've always been a person. I worked for Funny or Die when I came out. Like when I got started in this business, I was working at Funny or Die, and we were making videos like insane amount of clockwork. I mean, it was like I'd be producing a video a week there, and like Funny or Die at the time, we were making stuff that was like meant to feel like features or like higher concept things. It wasn't like front facing foam cameras. We were doing filmmaking, but at a really, really cheap way. Yeah. But we were trying to do it the proper way. But it was
meant to look more like television than YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because even like the idea of like a YouTube having its own aesthetic wasn't even quite developed yet. YouTube was just a platform to put up videos. It wasn't like, I think even by like 2009 or so, I wouldn't even say there was like quote unquote YouTubers. It was still just like people were getting big on YouTube in some places, and Funny or Die was its own platform. But like, yeah, so just to be churning stuff out like that. So I've always just been making stuff to like put online or screen on and live shows like in Los Angeles. And so with Big Brothers, like I do want to check out the festival scene, even though I didn't make it for a festival. Like I always was. It was always meant to be a calling card, not a festival thing, which I think changed like the way I shot it and the way I developed as an idea. But when I started getting into the festival stuff, I started following all the festival Reddits and like the what's that thread? I don't know if on your side, do you ever follow the thread where people are saying like the festival admission thing? Have you ever seen that thread?
Actually, Reddit is one of those things that I'm too old to understand.
Oh man. So there's a whole thread that's just people clocking whether they get exceptions or rejections. So that I applied to TIFF. Has anybody got any rejections or admissions? And somebody goes like, I've gotten a rejection. So everybody like pitches in, but nobody says they've gotten admission. So if you haven't gotten your rejection, people go like, oh, maybe my film still has a shot. It's like, it's this thing that's created there. But in that you find a lot of like, it's tough. It's people like dealing with a lot of rejection on these boards. And I feel very lucky with like my, hit rate for Big Brothers, because I was like, at first I was kind of discouraged because I would get about 1 out of every 5, 1 out of every 4. So I'm thinking like, God, man, I suck. And then you start talking to people who regularly submit to festivals or in the scene, and they're like, dude, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, you're in the zone. Like that is nothing. Like that is. And so you know the shape of the festival world was a total eye opener for me.
It is. In fact, it is. I'm kind of embarrassed that I don't do any research like that and check out what people are saying about festivals. But no, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, that's a great return. By the way, I'm going to ask about your childhood and how you got started. But first, I'm actually going to do a live correction of something I said, which is I should just make clear that I'm not a robot. They didn't make it. I just assumed that it was a December screening.
Right.
And they actually just didn't respond to our emails. Actually, we kept saying, hey, you submitted, we like it, because we send those tell us more things, and we say like, we're asking for more info about your film, but we really just want to make sure you respond.
Yeah.
And they didn't respond, so we had to let it go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, like I'm sure they were on some sort of a roll, and things get.
I know what. Actually, okay, but now I will share a little bit, because we've had 3 films in our first 9 years end up in the Oscar hunt, like making the top 20, but not the bottom top 5.
Yeah.
And you have to involve an Oscar specific publicist.
Yes.
Who knows how to reach out to make sure that jurors watch your film.
Yeah.
Or whatever, Academy members watch it. So once you're working with that publicist, my understanding is that publicist generally tells them, all right, lock it down now. No more festivals. So I made the assumption, but It's not like they told me that's what happened.
Yeah, no, that whole thing, that was the funniest thing too. That the one thing I learned is I started talking to somebody who is a actor of on TV shows and stuff like that, and they had done some festival stuff, and they were like, well, who's like, I was talking, well, I'm getting Big Brothers out there, and I'm doing pretty good, I'm having a good time. It's like, do you have a publicist on it? I'm like, can you? The concept of that didn't even like cross my mind. I was like, well, you can't like. But yeah, I mean, you're running a festival. Do you get hit up by agents, publicists? Do they like make reach outs when to like suggest seeing a film or anything like that? Or is this verboten to talk about?
On occasion, no, I'm happy to talk about anything. But then after this, I will ask you about how you started.
This is a tangent show. We already said.
Start from the minute you were born. But and location. No, we do hear from publicists who say, "Hey, I'm representing this film, blah blah blah," and all we can say is, "Well, if they submit it, they submit it." Like sometimes people want to know, "Are you looking for this kind of film?" And we're like, honestly, I wish I could just write back, "Fuck you. We're not looking at a trailer because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
We're not watching it for free because you know what? 800 people are paying an entry fee. That's whose films we're going to watch. We're not going to watch yours first and then tell you whether or not you'll get in."
Yeah.
Like our jury, like our eyes get so freaking tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So most publicists are just pretending that they have influence, I think. But well, with our festivals, they don't have influence because we care about quality.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I think there's something about festival fees being a barrier of entry for a practical purpose of just like if it was a free submission thing, everybody go like, great, well, this festival is a free submission. So now instead of like 1,500, you say, I've heard people having like 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 submissions, which is so crazy. But if it was free, yeah, you'd be looking at 5,000 films, which you multiply that by an average of 10. A very smart person could make that that calculation. I can't, but it's a lot. It's a lot of hours.
But interestingly, I get more emails from publicists about this podcast.
Oh, interesting.
And I kind of have to have the same response. I'm like, look, it sounds interesting, but I've already got too many filmmakers. Like, I don't have enough time to talk to everyone I meet at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion LA. And these films I already know are fucking great.
Yeah.
So your client sounds wonderful. Tell them to submit. And then they can be on this podcast, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about podcasting is you can truly run at the show like you'd like. It's like, maybe you got big sponsors on this podcast and you got to satisfy. No, but you can just do what you need to do and talk to who you want to talk to. And I'm sure if a publicist came with somebody that you'd really like, oh, I would like to talk to them, you would, but that's your choice. That's the great thing.
Well, I won't edit this because we don't edit, but I am actually having a non-festival guest as a favor to a publicist who was really helpful to the festivals.
Yeah.
I'll be transactional that way.
Yeah.
But, if I've never heard of the person, but yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's all, I think that kind of transactional thing, if it's collaborative, if you're making something together, if you help each other, it's so hard to keep things moving in this world. So you got to take help where you can get it. And
say, look, I'm happy to help you, because you've just helped us. Amusingly, I get emails from some publicists, and then they'll, as a podcaster, this is so stupid inside baseball. So I get emails as a podcaster.
Yeah.
And then they'll brag to me about, in that email, how many film festivals are on their list. They're like, I reach out to, I have X number of festivals. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're one of those festivals and we delete every email you send us.
Yeah.
So you're sending, so you've got a list of 17,000 film festivals. So your email's being deleted by 17,000 people every month. I actually, because I'm on the festival side and the podcast side.
Yeah.
Maybe the lie was the other way, but either way, I realized, wow, you're bullshitting me because I know I won't even consider your clients on the festival side.
Yeah, I'm just a BCC to you. Come on, pal.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I am. I realize, anyway, all right, we've shot the shit for a bit.
Yeah.
How'd you get started in the creative arts and performing and all that?
Oh man, so I mean, I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, and I know it's an interesting fact.
I've been there. I love that town.
It's great.
It's a great town.
It's
way more artsy than people would think.
Yeah, it's a great place to grow up. It was an awesome place to grow up. It's Anchorage itself is like a town of 200,000, so it's not like Podunk or anything like that. But it's still Alaska, 45 minutes in any direction, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's beautiful and gorgeous, and the summers are long. And I had a great time growing up there, and I went to school for teaching, and I wanted to come back to Alaska and teach, and I started teaching for about 2 years, and I started to lose my mind. It was so hard to do, and I was I would get in front of these kids, and I would just I'm a bit too much of an empathetic person. I'm trying to shake these kids into like reading and stuff. They're not doing it. And I was like 23 or something. I'm like driving home, and I'm just started like crying in my car. And I didn't know, like, I've never had anything like that. Just not because I was sad, just because I don't know, like my brain was blown up.
Because you cared so much.
Yeah,
it was caring.
Yeah, and I basically just said, like, I can't do this as like a career, at least not now. And I said, well, if I won the lottery, what would I do? And I'm like, well, if I won the lottery, I would like try to make a movie or something. I'm like, well, how do you do that? And I started like kind of figuring out, like, well, what can I do? How could I do it if I actually wanted to do it? And because I got out of college with very little debt because I worked a lot of construction. I did my first year in Anchorage. And I basically paid for half. My parents paid for half, and then we got like a small loan. But I was able to pay it off through construction work before I did teaching. And so I didn't have any massive debt leaving college. But then I'm like, but I could go to film school and get some debt. And because what is a loan but a lottery thing that you just have to pay back? Is what I was thinking.
I have to ask though.
Yeah.
If in your, can I fairly call it a crisis about teaching?
Sure, yeah.
When you gave yourself the lottery question, you clearly were super into film before that.
Yes, yeah.
So were you a cinephile, or were you playing with video cameras and stuff as a kid?
Yes, I mean, like a lot of kids of my generation. I was talking about I was talking to somebody about this idea. I was listening to the Blank Check podcast did something about Steven Spielberg. They Blank Check podcast does like director retrospectives, and they did Spielberg. And I had this thing in my head where they were talking about it, and I totally forgot about this as like a thing. But like Spielberg in '93 did Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in 1 year, and it's just like that's like somehow winning the Super Bowl and the Stanley Cup in the same year. Like, how do you do that? And I realized, like, boy, I was like a really small, impressionable kid who loved dinosaurs and saw that. And I also loved movies. So I was like watching the Oscars. And I remember that Oscars being such like a thing, like the idea of this one guy did both of those movies. Like I couldn't understand it. So like I only just recently realized how much like that Steven Spielberg year like influenced so much of my interest in, coming up, as a kid. So I was also the kid. I went to the library. And I had an AFI top 100 movies of all time list. I had it printed out, and I had like just notes all over it. And I would just go to the library, and I would just try to find a movie, and I would just like, oh, there's one. I'd cross it off. So I tried to watch all the AFI 100 movies. So I was always like this kid who loved movies. But growing up in Alaska, I'd never have met anybody that was ever in the film industry. Like, I thought it was something that just like didn't happen here. And so I just knew I had to get to LA to do it. It was like in 2008. And I basically said I found what was the cheapest, fastest film school I could go to, which was LA Film School. They had a 1-year program, and it was something that I could get a loan out and afford. And I basically just packed everything I did in my car, just drove down to LA, and went to film school, got in and out, and then started like I lucked into finding a way into Funny or Die, and I started like immediately working there as a PA, and then. When you were at Funny or Die, things were moving so fast, there was like a moment where they were like, well, we don't know what an AD is, but we need to have ADs on sets, I guess. And they're like, well, Mazany's a PA that shows up on time, and he's loud as fuck. That's like what an AD is, just somebody who's loud, right? So Mazany, you're the AD now. I'm like, okay. And I had to figure out what an AD is. And then I had some good production people teach me better when I was working on commercials. But through Funny or Die, I was able to just kind of like work every job. It's a big multi-hat type place. And then I've just been kind of like, my career's been just like swinging from vine to vine, just really just like staying off the ground, but just like, oh, I'll do a little this, I'll do a little that, I'll do a little that. And I've, which they say you don't want to be a jack of all trades, but I've somehow made it work I've been out here for, more than 15 years now. Like I guess 2008 was when I moved here. I don't want to, once again, a good math person can figure 17 years. But I've never worked a non-entertainment job. I've only worked as like when I got out of film school, I was like, I would PA, of course, but then I'd be like a dolly grip, and I would be like in the art department. I would just like, anybody who would hire me, I would work for them, and I would just learn what I can. And because I worked in so many different departments, that did help me become a good non-union AD. And finding a good non-union AD is really hard, because that's such a hard job. And I had a good understanding of what every department did. and I started getting a sense for it. So that's where I made a lot of like my early money doing that. And then I would produce and direct when I could, and it just like, you know, it was like a snowball rolling down the hill, my career. But you know, it's I mean, to this day, it's still just like, who knows? I literally don't know what I'm going to be doing in 6 months, which is good and bad.
Well, honestly, it is a counterpunching kind of life.
Yeah.
But I even think like even Spielberg's counterpunching.
Right.
Like when he's choosing the next thing to do, I've allegedly have heard insight from people who are aware. And like there's a script he loves and like the studio will say, nah, not this one. Even though in theory he owns DreamWorks, like they actually have a releasing deal through Universal or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And like they could say no.
Yeah.
Like everyone's counterpunching all the time. So yeah, it really is just finding your way, like in the dark, just one step at a time, making sure you don't fall off a cliff.
Well, and I think sometimes when I describe that kind of a lifestyle, people go like, "Well, that's so crazy. How do you do that?" It's like, well, I mean, I would love to have like, oh man, I'm going to work at this one company for 12 years and work my way up in it, but like that would drive me crazy. And then when I hear somebody that's doing that, I'm like, well, you know, that lifestyle is what scares me, you know. So I think it's like people always gravitate towards the kind of world that they fit in or the world they want to create if they let themselves. But yeah, filmmaking and the lifestyle of it is just still fun to me.
Excellent. Well, hopefully it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had, you know, this is funny. I do need to run into Steven Weber one more time. In film school, we did this thing where one of the months, every month we'd go to a new class and they'd work several classes through this thing. So in 1 month we did this thing where we were going to shoot 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone in these stages that they had. And what you do is every day of the week they would give you a new job on set. So one day you'd be the dolly grip, one day you'd be the camera assistant, one day you'd be the DP, one day you'd be the gaffer, and you just kind of run around and you try all the different jobs on set. And for whatever reason, they got Mick Garris, who the guy who directed the TV version of The Shining and Christine, and he was like Stephen King's director. And he decided to, like, whatever the relationship happened, he was going to direct the Twilight Zones for us. So as a director, he was going to show us how to do things. And as a gas, he goes, "Oh, I'm going to get Steven Weber to come in for this." And so we're in film school, and Steven Weber's like doing this bit, and we're watching him act. And he's doing. I remember one time I had to do this dolly push with an 18 millimeter lens, and they wanted to end right on his face at the end. So the lens was going to be physically like an inch from his face. And I'm like doing a tape mark and I'm pushing it slowly. And he's like in the middle of like a 1.5 minute long monologue. And I set tape marks for like every 30 seconds. And I had to memorize the script and hit the marks to the point and then like land at the right time, but not hit him. And I felt him like he started like crying. I'm like, oh my God, an actor's crying. And like I'm performing with him. I was so excited. It was so fun. And the shot worked. It worked. It was fun. But anyway, so I ran into them, and then like 4 years later, I was working on a web series that he was in, and I go up to him and say, "Mr. Weber, I don't know if you remember. You probably don't remember me, but you were at LA Film School. You did this thing, and I just want to say it was really fun to watch you work, and I'm glad to see you again." He goes like, "Oh man, that's great that you." And he looks at me and goes like, "Are you still enjoying this?" And I go like, "I am enjoying this." He goes like, "I hope I see you in 10 years, and I hope that you're still enjoying it in 10 years." And I keep on saying like, "Oh, I hope I run into Steven Weber again sometime so I can tell him that yes, I'm definitely more salty, more craggy than I was, but I'm still enjoying it overall." Yeah. So if anybody's got a line on Steven, let me know.
And that shows that what a sensitive, thoughtful person he is, right? Because that's such a smart question. Like to say, are you still like? It shows concern, but he's also aware that like what this industry can do to people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will. When you live out here long enough, you end up doing the thing where people go like, "Hey, I've got my cousin. He's moving out to LA. Would you go meet him for a coffee?" And I'm like, and I always say yes. I always try to help out. And in the last couple of years, I've had this thing where people, you know, ask me, and boy, it's like such a difficult thing to tell somebody. It's like if they're young and they're moving out to this industry, like I almost discourage them from it. Because it's just it feels different than when I moved here. Like when I moved here as a 22-year-old again, like with the same situation I was in 2008, would I do this knowing what I know now? I don't know. But I think about this. There's a Jerry Seinfeld documentary called Comedian. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, it came out a while ago, right?
Yeah, it was a while ago. And he had this one thing. He goes like, anytime a comic comes up to me asking for advice, I tell him to quit. You should quit the business. And he goes, basically, if anybody asked advice of like one of the top comedians of the time, and he tells me to quit and he still keeps going, that person really wants to be a stand-up comic. If that discourages somebody and makes them quit, then they never were going to make it anyways. And so I think there's something to that. And so I try not to mince my words when I tell people about advice about moving out here. Because if you could make it work, you can make it work. But boy, it's tough. It's tough. It's tougher now more than ever. It feels tougher. But
it's funny. I'm a little nicer than him. But what I always said to people for like the last 20 years, even longer, but is if you can quit, you should.
Yeah.
Because you should only stay in it if you feel like, no, I can't quit. You have to care so much.
Yeah.
It has to be so in your heart. And if you can say to yourself, I could quit. I would rather teach.
Yeah.
Then fucking teach.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, and also it's like you got to respond to what's out there. You could say you could have the biggest dream, like I want to live on the moon, and it's like, well, that's an awesome dream. It'd be cool to live on the moon, but how many people do you know live on the moon? Well, as far as I know, 0. But so you go, okay, well, what's a different dream? Well, I want to work in the film industry. And you go, okay, well, that's people do work in the film industry, but not as many as there used to be, and so you've got to temper your expectations based on what like feedback you're getting at some point. But I think you're right. I think it's like, weird years, the last couple of years with strikes and COVID and the fires, and just like, it just feels like a barrage of, and streamers constricting and AI coming in, and it's all this stuff is happening that's changing the tenor of everything. And there was like some serious points of just like, is this something I could still do? But I think also specifically about Big Brothers, I invested a lot of my own personal money into Big Brothers. And when things got slow, I said to myself, like, boy, I wish if I had that money, I'd sure be better off. But also, but I never truly felt that. I never felt any, like, even though financially it's a stupid decision to make a short film, if you want like a return on investment compared to something else. But it's also like just what I had to do. Like it was that time in my life that I just had to like make something. And my friend Joey Clift, who's a great filmmaker, who has a short film called Pow that he's working out, and that I help produce it, and he's shepherding it through festivals right now. But he said a thing about like there's certain parts in your life creatively, even when you're not in the college system, where you almost like are like going to grad school and you need to have like a thesis and you need to graduate to the next level. And I think that I had worked a bunch of jobs doing these true crime shows, and I just needed to take all the stuff that I learned there and put it into like a thesis statement. And that was like Big Brothers for me. Because I was working these true crime shows and I was getting repetitions on set that it's so hard to do as a director in this town. It's so hard to get directing days on set. And I was working in this genre that they were just like from 2019 to like 2024, that we were shooting true crime shows like crazy. I think in between 2019 and 2024, I think I counted something. I shot something like 135 episodes of TV, and it's all true crime, murder, slop. But I'm like on set working stuff with directors, or with my collaborators, working with actors, trying things out, and I'm like bored of the genre, so I'm trying to like find things new in there, and it's like this exercise. And I was so like just like in good fighting shape for directing. I was like, I'm like crushing every day, and this is fun, and I'm finding the space, and I'm getting people excited. I'm bringing people in. I'm trying things out, and so I said, okay, I have all this like goodwill with all my crews, and I have this like practice, and I said, and I saved enough money because of the jobs. I can make Big Brothers, and I can make this film really high level. I can stretch the dollars I can spend really far. I can get people that want to work with. I can get locations because I use the locations for my true crime shows. I wrapped a show in November, and I only gave myself 1 month of pre-production, and I shot it in December because I just wanted to work with that crew. We'd just come off of working like a summer of 2 seasons of TV. And I was like, this crew's like, we're all in sync. We're all ready to go. I need to shoot this now with this crew. So this felt like the right time. For sure. And what about the script? Are you the whole time you were working? Were you always just writing ideas out now and then? And did you have like a little pile of scripts? And then Big Brothers was such, you were like, okay, this one I really have to do? Yeah. Yeah, no, the script process is so funny because I have a video group. I have a co-director, this guy Ian Skalski, and we shoot a lot of stuff under the moniker Cascade Up. And we, throughout the Fun of Your Die time, we'd be always shooting stuff, and we shot stuff. Everything that we shoot has never been. I don't think we've ever had a quote unquote viral hit. It's what you do. You release it on the internet. You hope it goes viral. But we release stuff that's like off kilter, not straight comedy, not straight drama, but it's like stuff that's really odd. And I actually, it was very funny. Just recently, for some reason, I was going through my emails and I found a bunch of pitches because we were going to make videos for like Samsung Milk, which was a video player that was just on Samsung phones, and they wanted content for it that was exclusive to Samsung. And they went to Funny or Die, and they basically said, you can go out to all these creators in Los Angeles. We'll give you $5,000 for every 10 minutes of content you can deliver. And it could be whatever you want. Won't give you notes. And we're like, oh, fuck yeah. That's what we want to do. We want to do stuff with no notes. So we shot a bunch of stuff for them. And I wanted to like get them to let us shoot something longer. And so I pitched a few ideas to Skalski. And one of the ideas was like a series of sketches that were like, and I wanted, and like, because we had one where we were going to go to Iceland and shoot something in Iceland that we ended up shooting in Alaska, and then we had another stuff that was like that we did end up shooting that was like a series. But one of the things I pitched was like, oh, it's a series about these brothers and their mom dies, they're fixing up the house. Like, so it was like literally like broken up into all these pieces. And it's funny because I broke them into episodes, but there was episodes that like are still in Big Brothers. It's like they're fixing up the house and everything breaks, and then the dad comes home and they have a big fight with the dad. And so it was originally as like not quite a web series, but just a series of sketches because it's just these, you know, in the very Lynchy way, it's just these ideas floating around. And so that was in 2016. And then I wrote Big Brothers as like a short film script in like 2018. And then I kept on rewriting it and had different ideas in there. And I think it was like in, like I said, 2023, where I was like, oh, I just knew I had these crime shows. I'm like, when I'm done on the other side of my crime shows, I've got to do something. I got to make a short. And I went through all my old sketch ideas and all my old ideas, and I pulled out Big Brothers. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to give this a rewrite. And I think we're good to go. And something that happened November of 2023 is my aunt died. And it was this weird, bittersweet thing. Andrea Leese, and she's always been a wonderful, she's a super creative person, was always very encouraging as we were growing up. Like, loved that as a creative person and was really pushed that. But we went to New Mexico for the funeral, and it became this family reunion because coming from Alaska, we don't get to like see our extended family a ton because it's a big, long trip. So even growing up, it was always just kind of like, you know, every few years we'd go visit, or, you know what I mean? It's not often. And it was like this thing where we got this kind of like family reunion out of the deal. And there was like this, and Big Brothers always was about that and grief and family and all that stuff. But now it was like, I got to like relive it and seeing this idea of like, man, it's so sad that she passed. But it was so amazing that we got to like meet up and have these things. And there was like there was weird family drama that came out of it, like everything that happens. And it reinvigorated this idea of what it could like it gave me like a lens to rewrite it instead of just being conceptual about it. I got to write it from a real more personal place. And then I also got a CPAP machine, which is like the one thing that like literally like if you watch the short, there's some plugged in CPAPs that sets the house on fire. And I always was like, house goes on fire somehow. And just even that little thing of just like, oh, the CPAPs, oh, the electricity, oh, that makes sense. Like it just like, it clicks in. It's like really fun if you're just like fighting something for a long time. When the creative thing clicks in, it feels like a gear just like slipping in. It's like, you know. So the writing process was like very long. And it was just so funny because it's just like, you know, it's a 13-minute short. So, but it just takes a while for those ideas to metastasize. And when I think I tried to shoot it in earnest in like 2019, but it was like, this is too expensive. I can't. It's a very ambitious short. It's like people are breaking stuff. There's stunts. There's fire. There's all this. There's a lot
big
going
cast.
on.
I mean, the fact is, the more people on screen, the more it costs you.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's. There was a time where I was when I was in the pre-production of making this. I'm like, because I'm in it, and I don't usually act in stuff. All right, and I act in stuff because I want to be a better director. And so I went to my producer, Ross Baran, who's incredible, getting me through this whole thing. I was like, fuck, it's so expensive, and it's going to be so much coverage to get everybody covered, and it's going to slow things down. But you know what? What if it was 4 brothers, and I'll just not be in it? And he goes like, no, like don't. It's it's 5. It's like the point is there's a lot of them. There's a lot of guys that take up space and all that. Like we haven't even done the summary of the movie, right? People don't know what to talk about.
To you, but yeah. By the way, shame on me. Normally, when I introduce it and say how great it is, I'm supposed to say, "Hey, is it available yet for people to check out, or are you still on the festival circuit?"
No, we did release it online. I think we did our last festival like a couple months ago, but it's on Watch Crafty YouTube channel. Yeah, it's a YouTube channel that puts up shorts.
Well, feel free to email me the link so that we'll make it a clickable link in the show notes, as the professional podcasters would say.
Yeah. Oh, dude, thank you.
For sure, absolutely.
Because I love people watching it. And I love seeing it in rooms with people like that, and that's part of the deal with like working at Funny or Die for so long. It's so unbelievably unhealthy to like make something and put a lot of work into it, and then you upload it, and then you're just refreshing, looking at the clicks bar, and you're just like, it's just nasty. It's not a way to enjoy something. And getting to watch it in a theater with people was just like so fun. Every time I screened it, it was just it was fun. It's there's one part in the movie where the dad, who's played by Eddie Pepitone, which is I love Eddie Pepitone. He's just one of the truly the funniest guys ever. I'm so happy that he did this. But there's a part of the end where you think there's like this big reconciliation between the dad and Mitch. Mike Mitchell plays him, and Eddie ends up biting his ear off. It's spoiler or whatever. It's fine. You guys, it's a short. You guys can watch it. You'll still enjoy it. But Eddie bites his ear off, and what's so fun about that is when you start watching it live, I just know it's going to get a reaction because every time I've seen it, it gets a reaction. And when somebody and usually somebody or a few people in the audience will like say words, which is it's such a great response for a movie, because usually you sit in a movie and you watch and you laugh or you go, but when that happens, you'll hear somebody in the background go like, "Oh, Jesus Christ," and that's such a fun. I come from I have a lot of like pro wrestling influence. I used to do pro wrestling back in Alaska. I was doing the Indies, and then I spent some time writing for the WWE. I was in Connecticut for them. Yeah,
you left this out of your bio.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
But the funny thing is, I was gonna. The whole time I was thinking of asking, like you went over, how you went to LA Film School and all that. I wanted to go. Well, did you ever do some performing? Because your performance is excellent in the film.
Oh, thanks, man.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, I sure as fuck, it's not like, oh, the director gave himself a cameo. Like, all 5 brothers are just so well acted. And honestly, the relationships, I can't even remember from the Q&A. I might have even said, like, were you all friends already? Because, like, the rapport is just so genuine. Yeah. And I have an older brother, so I fucking know what it's like. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not sure I've seen a more accurate portrayal of American brotherhood.
Yeah. Well, oh man, there's like, so yeah, the cast was like great.
And you were part of that. The whole point is you were part of that, like, as a performer. So now that you tell me that you, with the wrestling background, that you're not just a wrestling fan, but that you did some performing and some writing for that even. Yeah. Well, now I totally understand the falling through the table. Yeah. As well as why you could come from behind the camera and jump in front of there and totally hold your own.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also like I said, acting it's very funny too, because I think I acted in a few things that I direct, and I do some stuff, and I really like, obviously this is me putting out the universe. I want to act in more things that I have nothing to do with. I'm just acting. It's so hard when you're making your own stuff, because if I'm acting in something, usually I have to like produce and get it together, and I'm buying lunch, and then I go like, hey, I'm sad, and I cry. It's like, but it just show up and just do acting is so freeing and so fun, because you really concentrate on that. But for this one, it was very funny because I'm acting, and Mike Mitchell, who's the lead, who I think is just a brilliant, brilliant actor. He's so funny. He's like so funny, but also so just like, you just love him the second you see him. He just has that kind of thing about him.
Yeah, for me, he's like your Alex Rieger. Like he's the sane one that the insanity is swirling around.
Yeah, well, and he's commented how he's had so much fun doing Big Brothers, because he's in Twisted Metal, and he's in the oh my, not the Forever War, the Chris Pratt. Oh, he's gonna be so mad if I didn't get his credit right. But it's the Tomorrow War. Jeez Louise. Yeah, but he's in all these movies, and he gets cast, and because of the Hollywood system, if you're a big guy, and let's just say about the cast, they're all big guys. I'm a big guy, and they're all guys that are 300 pounds or above, or but that's kind of like how I am, and it's how families are. Like it's not like In real life, usually families all look like each other, right? But in movies and film, if there's a fat guy, it's just the one. You only cast one fat guy, and what is he? He's either a doofus or he's obsessed with food or whatever. And for Mike Mitchell, he gets cast as like kind of a lovable doofus a lot, and he does it well because he's just a really funny, likable guy. But I wanted to cast him as like a lead and be the lead among these guys, and let the guys be kind of crazy and him be like the voice of reason in that family.
He's the heart. Yeah,
the heart of the whole thing. And he did such a great job doing that. And then just to shout out all the actors in that, Jesse Klein is one of my oldest friends in Los Angeles. We were in Improv 101 together back at the UCB. And so we've been collaborating ever since then. Winston Carter, same thing from that comedy world. We've just done a bunch of stuff together. And then Leroy Patterson, who's a comedy guy, but also he's another pro wrestler. So he has that thing about him. And all these guys didn't all know each other super well. They kind of knew about each other because we're all in the comedy scene. But it was so funny because I'm running around setting up shots and doing this stuff and shooting other things. And they'd be like in kind of this back, not green room because we were at the Church of the Chimes, but they were just like in actually a preschool room, all sitting in these tiny chairs. And they were just telling stories about being in the entertainment industry when you're fat and being like, oh, you do a Subway ad and you audition, you're holding a hoagie and you fall off a chair. It's always bullshit like that. But they bonded over all this like stuff. And then Eddie Pepitone showed up and he started like talking to them. And he starts getting right into it. And eventually, like every time I'd walk in the room, they would just be laughing and talking about stuff. I'm like, oh my God, they're all becoming like brothers. Like it really did happen fast. Not all of them knew each other before we started shooting. So they did have just this kind of natural chemistry with each other. And I had this moment where I ran into Eddie Pepitone a few months after the shoot. And he was with his wife. And I was like, Mr. Pepitone, good to see you, man. And he goes, oh, hey. And he tells his wife, he goes, honey, this is the for the guy from the short I was telling you about. It was me and a bunch of fat guys, and we talked about food for hours, and then we got in a big fight. It was great. It was the best day on set. But I just love this idea that he was like excited about talking to these guys about food. And the other thing is Eddie was he was so worried. He loved the script. He goes, I want to do this, but I'm like, hey, he goes, I'm in my 60s and I've never done any stunt performing. I don't know about this fight at the end. I don't know if I can do it. Like, it would be fun, but I just don't know if I can do it. And I don't want to ruin your film by being whatever. And I was like, no, dude, we can make it work. And we brought in a great stuntman, Joe Perez, who choreographed the fight, and he worked with Eddie. And Eddie like went in super hard on it, man. It's like, he doesn't do stunt work. Like when like all of us, when do we get cast to do like stunt work? And we got to have like a fight, and Joe Perez got us to like where everything kind of looked good, and Eddie was taking these great pratfalls onto mats, and we did it in like a real safe way. But I think it just had a lot of like Looney Tunes energy of these guys beating up their dad, who's like this monster in his own head, but these guys are all literally bigger than him, so they could just like throw him around.
But that was another. I mean, there's so many. We're not really diving into your script and talking about all the wonderful elements in it.
Yeah.
But I actually think the smaller father's power is one of the most insightful things, one of the many insightful things in the script is that because even when you are like way bigger and stronger than a parent or a relative or an aunt or an uncle, whatever it is, there's still a level of intimidation.
Yeah.
And you capture that. And that's another thing that most people miss. But I also just want to thank you. I'm actually an Eddie Pepitone. I've always been a stand-up nerd.
Yeah.
So I've just been a fan to stand-up for 45, 50 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like he is one of the best.
Yeah.
And one of the best actors who do stand-up.
Yeah.
And I feel like Hollywood itself never takes true advantage of what he can do.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I saw your film, when he shows up, loving your film the whole way through, and then he's the dad, I was like, I probably said out like you would have loved it if I had been like at a festival and seeing it for the first time behind you. I would have gone, fucking Pepitone. I like you know what I mean? I just thought it was such great casting and so great to see him get to do that.
Yeah. This is the. I feel like you're on podcasts talking about films, so I can't be too sad on being back patty. But one of the big things that I did that I pat myself on the back for is I had two very trusted people give me notes on the script, and they were like, "Dude, you need to like show this dad before we need to like see him and see a picture. We need to like know who he is or whatever. And I wanted to do the thing in Slapshot, the movie Slapshot, where they talk about Ogie Oglethorpe the whole movie, and it's Ogie Oglethorpe, he killed this guy. Ogie Oglethorpe did this, and you don't see Ogie Oglethorpe till the last 10 minutes of that movie, and he shows up and he is like as scary as you imagine. You're like, this is great, I can't believe it. And so I wanted to do that with Eddie. Like I wanted to be talking about the dad, and then you don't know who it is till you see it. And what's funny is I screened at a comedy festival, at the Pack Comedy Festival, and with more comedy nerds. And when we're in the theater and they're watching it, and they have this machine, and then you hear Eddie like from the other side of the window. He's outside the house. And when his voice started going, yeah, right, this motherfucker, and you could understand it's Eddie. I heard the crowd go like, ooh, and then they saw his silhouette, and everyone goes like, oh, and then like they showed him, and everyone goes like, yeah, it was like the Avengers Endgame when like all these comedy nerds got to see Eddie Pepitone. I'm like, that's what I want. I wanted like an entrance for this guy, and it's a short. You just want to like, you got to have movement in those shorts. But
that's also your understanding of cinema. You created a cinematic moment.
Yeah.
I mean, pat yourself on the back more for what you did as a writer and director, because you created a great moment there. Yeah. In fact, it comes after the brick goes through the window or whatever, you know, which it's actually his fault. If the fire's his fault, right?
Yeah,
not the brothers.
Yep. It's that there he inserts it like they literally I feel safe for the first time in that thing.
He's literally destructive force in their lives.
Yeah, and they just
even
found some stasis.
Grown men.
Yeah, they can still do it. It's funny. I also because I.
But wait. I'm going to interrupt you.
Please,
I'm
go
going
ahead.
to jump in and interrupt you because you said something mildly important. You mentioned UCB and that you did some training there too.
Yes.
So clearly you had a performance. You got a one or two of your bones as you got a performance bone in your body.
It's true. I need to stop underplaying it because I think the funny thing is. When I released Big Brothers, and I made it as a director piece, and it's the intention of making it, and it's why I made it, because I was doing all these true crime shows, and executives have this type of thing where you go like, hey, here's my reel. I've done 200 episodes of true crime. And like, well, great. If we have a true crime project, we'll call you. I'm like, no, I can do other things. So I know I needed to have a sample of something I could make so I could get booked on different director jobs. But what the surprise to me is how much response I am getting for the acting in Big Brothers was because it's just like, and so I am like open to reinvigorating that part, and I do want to perform more, and I shouldn't underplay it because I do like to do it, and it's fun, but it is this weird thing where I have this thing where like I intended to be a director, and now people are complimenting acting, and I'm like, but
and you're writing,
yeah.
But besides that, what was I going to try to say? I was just. Totally, yeah. I lost my own tangent.
No, dude, the tangents are there. We'll come back around to it. We'll pick it up like a stick or like a dog poop bag that we leave and we come back. When we're on the other side of the hiking trail, we're good. We'll get there, man.
Absolutely. Well, but clearly, one thing UCB will teach you is ensemble work, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. UCB was. I'll tell you I do recommend that people do improv. I think that improv has like a limit as a performance in some ways. Like there's people that are really great at improv, but there's like magic and there's nothing better, and it's so good. But you like when I was in the indie improv scene in Los Angeles between like let's say 2010 and 2015 was awesome. It was crazy. It was like it's one of those things that it is like and I'm being like a weird scenester or whatever, but it was like I was in the middle of it. It was so hot. There was UCB, there was IO West, and then there was all these like independent theaters, the Clubhouse, and people were just putting up shows, and you could get stage time like 3 or 4 times a week doing improv. And I think the important thing I got at improv, more than the performing on it, the performing there is good, is that you realize that ideas are so cheap. Ideas are cheap as hell. Like when I heard somebody one time when I was just starting out saying like I've got an idea for a feature that I can't tell you what it is because if I told you if you took it it's going to sell like immediately or whatever. And I'm like I don't think that's true. I don't think it's like and with improv like you will sit there and you will do 6 scenes in a 20-minute set that are all pretty good, like they're all pretty good. Like, and some are great. Sometimes you land on a great scene and it's just like, and what do you do with that great scene? You ball it up and you throw it away. Cause it's about the execution. And I think also the thing that you learn is that you just kind of come back to things, when they're time to come back to. So like the idea of like Big Brothers as like a pitch for a web series, like there's some ideas in there that kind of like stood stuck in my head that I couldn't get out, and as as I've been doing this a long time and making a lot of stuff, I start to find myself in both good and bad, like falling back on things that I always think are funny and always think are good. Like the ideas that are still good. Like I like the idea that a scene where somebody like drops a bunch of papers and they start flying in the wind and they run around, and they pick up all their papers. Like I will put that in anything that I can. If I can, I did a true crime show where I was like, oh man, this CSI detective like has a bunch of case files, and she runs back in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh, maybe she drops her papers, and then she has to pick up all her papers out of the parking lot. And they they put it in the show. It was the real CSI Miami. They put it in the first cut. And Recre never got a note that whole season, but Jerry Bruckheimer's company was like, you can't have the scene where the woman's picking up papers. And and they were like, oh, I guess that is a little silly in the middle of all this, but my showrunner liked it, so he put it in there, but we had to take it out. But yeah, you find you're always gravitating towards like kind of these same ideas, and they change and they shift, but they're still just kind of like there's kernels in you that just you need to work out. And I think improv is great for working out a ton of bad ideas. Because I tell this to like people who do comedy, listen, you start writing sketch, you start doing improv, you're going to write a good cop, bad cop scene. And it's going to be like, good cop always on their phone cop. It's going to be good cop. It's actually Santa Claus cop. It's like, and you're going to write a variation on that. You're going to write a scene about camping. You're going to write a scene about like, there's all these like kind of scenes that just everybody does some version of. And I think somebody said, I forget who said this. Maybe it was the sketch teacher had Nick Weiger. He goes, you won't write a good sketch till you're at least your 100th sketch. Like you need to write 100 sketches before you write a really good one. And I think there's some truth to that. And as a filmmaker, it's so hard to get repetitions. Like it's so hard to get 100 shots at bats. And so you got to create those opportunities to just get bad ideas out there, which is so hard because you film stuff and you like put it out and then people see it and it can be unnerving. But I think it's a process that I think is good to do.
And you also learn from him. You're totally right about the idea thing and execution, because obviously, I mean, look, our festival jury loves seeing films that are originals, doing things that we haven't seen before. But it's not like they're ideas no one's had before. It's just the execution makes it original.
Yeah.
And it really is all about execution. But the other thing I want to mention about is that your stage work, like the great thing about UCB and stuff is you're performing so much.
Yeah.
You also finally get to see how audiences react to certain things.
Yeah.
And because you can't fake a laugh. People can't fake a laugh.
Right.
Whereas if you spend all your time writing comedy at home and you write like 50 comedy shorts and you've never done anything in public where people are reacting to it,
yeah,
you don't know if any of those jokes will ever land.
Yeah. No, the live experience is so big, and I think it does inform. The same thing as pro wrestling, which is why I think when I gravitate towards the ear bite and the reaction that got, which is not necessarily loud, but it's more of an ooh and an ah. And it's like same thing as falling through the table. I think it's like getting people to like physically react to seeing something. I mean, it's why horror is fun. Comedy has a physical reaction, but I think like certain dramas can have a physical reaction too. It's like that when ET is when the bikes take off in the ET and they're playing the John Williams music. Like I guarantee you, if you had like nodes on everybody's arms, goosebumps in every theater. Like, and it's. You can't resist it. Like when John Williams music is playing and the kids are almost going to get killed, and just talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. And then the thing flies as da 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 da, and it's like you can't, like it's not a comedy, but I think getting people to physically react is such a big part of movies.
Yeah, because that physical reaction is the expression of their feelings, what they're feeling watching your work.
Yeah,
and making people feel is the purpose of art.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, well, it's so hard to get out of your house, and if you go to a movie theater, you want to get something out of it. You want to get some thrill.
And the worst insult anyone could ever give to a film is, I was kind of bored.
Yeah,
right. Like actually, right? Because a filmmaker, you'd rather have someone say, "Ooh, I hated it."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
than to be blasé about it.
Yeah, you want people. Yeah, you just want people.
If you divide a room, actually. One of the best experiences of my life was I divided a room with a film like in the 90s at a film festival. And like there was literally a debate among audience members about like what the ending meant.
Yeah.
And, like there was two camps and I was like, this is so fucking rad. They're like they're arguing over the work. Like they gave a shit.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that's, the other thing because I was going to watch a lot of films when I did this festival run, I took Big Brothers out, and I watched a ton of short films. And I almost was excited about, like, it's the ones I still talk about. There's short films that I watched that are like, oh man, it was not good, but boy, what they did there was so interesting. And it was all like, because you can watch, like, you know, it is sometimes, I know you watch a lot of bad films or a lot of things that just like don't pass the muster, but then you watch a lot of good films that are like, everything you're doing is right. Everything looks good. All the actors are doing good. It's all good. But, like, I don't know why you did this. I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. It's just like, like, what's wrong with it? Like, nothing's wrong with it, but I just didn't.
You just don't care.
Yeah.
In the end, they have to engage you.
Yeah.
And it's more common for the engagement to be over the human beings on screen.
Yeah.
The people. Once you care about a character, then you care about the film.
Yeah.
But if it's just an esoteric idea,
yeah,
it's really hard to get stoked over an idea.
Yes. Yeah, it has to be a really, yeah.
Like, oh, I really want to see, you know, if that alien evolves in a blah. No, you really want to see if that alien kills somebody.
Yeah. You know what
and you have to care about that person.
You know what the best idea movie is, and it is a good movie in terms of the character, but the best idea movie in terms of getting people in the theaters is The Matrix. Because I remember very distinctly hearing my older brother's friends just talk about the concept of The Matrix. Like, they were saying, yeah, it's this thing, and you're plugged in, and so the real world is actually being put into your head, and your body's like in a tube somewhere. And that idea was like, whoa, that idea, like, I've never even thought that could be possible. And like, and then you go to the movie, and then Neo is like, everything about that movie works as a movie. But to get people in the seats, that idea was so strong that was like, that's one of the very few things that, like, I think the idea brought people into the theater.
I think you're right. And I just always have to add that, like, I mean, if you didn't walk out of that film,
yeah,
and look outside, and of course I'm old enough, I saw it in theaters like when it was first released, but if you didn't walk outside and go, that could have been fucking true, that might have been a documentary, like, like I'm looking around, but I could actually be in a pod somewhere, and this could all be fucking fake, like, if you didn't have that thought, then I don't even care, like, I don't need to know that person, because like, you were not open to it.
Yeah, and it's
because it was the best idea ever.
It's best idea, and you had the scene where they're just like shooting 1,000 guns in a lobby, and all the cement's blowing up. They're playing that bam bam baka bam bam bam. Like,
I've had that Propeller Heads album forever.
That's right. I was
love that.
Yeah,
and you know, now I got to just fanboy with you for half a second.
Yeah,
and say all the time. I swear to God, I'll be standing in that kitchen right there, and I always visualize that scene after he's actually stopped the bullets in the air, right? That's not the big thing to me. To me is when he just like kind of like bends down and kind of moves his torso, like he inhales, and it actually moves the walls around him. Like at that point, he's actually, for me, I think that's the greatest moment of the film. Like, I just can't get over how powerful it is.
Yeah.
I don't care about stopping bullets. At this point, he can affect the world around him. And obviously that's because I'm an insignificant human being who wishes he can control the world around him. And it's the ultimate fantasy too. It's
funny that's why things in movies are like, man, the images and ideas, like there's all these things can work, right? Like it could be this big idea of like this idea of the Matrix as a concept, and a lot of people could have done that. Like Spielberg could have made the Matrix, or Brian De Palma could have made the Matrix. Like they'd all be different movies than they were. But then you have like the actors and how they are and how they're being, and then like Keanu Reeves at that time was like such a cipher that you just like fall into like whatever you want to put into Neo, you put into Neo. So that works. And then the action's amazing. You watch something, but also like just that little moment of just like, and the room gets sucked back, like. There's choices that we make that are just like deeply subconscious. I'm a big like David Lynch guy, especially since he died. He's been so on my mind, and like the idea that these images and ideas that just like that just work so good, or these like, and they're just small moments, but they will like really affect you. Like I think about this. I always love telling the scene because this scene is so funny to me because I don't know why it's funny, but it's the funniest, silliest, best scene. But it's James Caan and The Gambler. Have you ever seen that movie?
Ages ago, yeah.
It's okay. It's not even a great movie, but he's like plays this gambling addict, and he keeps on like in his massive debt, and he somehow finds money, and instead of paying off his debt, he goes, but I'm going to gamble just a little bit, and it's just like the most excruciating movie to watch. But he goes on this run where it's the last chance. He's got to win money, and he goes on this heater, and he's in Vegas, and he's running around with his girlfriend, and he's just like crushing and winning so much money. And then there's like this, they start playing this orchestra music, and the orchestra music is playing. And he gets on a blackjack table, and he's got $10,000 on every hand, and he's just going through like hit, stay, and he's doing it, and he like everything's just coming up 20s and 21s. He's just crushing. And then he gets to the last hand, and it's an 18, and the dealer just automatically says like, okay, no, you're gonna stay, and he goes, no, give me a 3, and then he pulls out a 3, and then he hits it, and then he wins. Then he looks down at his girlfriend, and he's like in his daze. He looks down at his girlfriend, and he goes like, I'm done. And that was like it. And that I'm done is so funny to me. But it's like I said, this movie that's like okay, it's an okay 70s movie, but this one scene is like, it's so funny. And then I'm gonna do a film at some point where I'm just gonna like whatever that is, whatever's in my head about that scene, I'm gonna steal that. I'm just gonna do my best version of that. And it may not be at a blackjack table. It may not be with it may be a different, but it's gonna be the same scene just in a different way. And I think that these deep ideas, these things that affect you, and I'm sure like the way that the Matrix looked to you when he breathed in and that wall went out, I bet that idea comes out in your creativity sometimes in a different way. I bet that idea is like a way that you view you're on a run or something, and you need to like get another breath to like I got 1 more mile left. I'm going to go, and you kind of go. And then you know like these images, the ideas that can like really affect you and come out in different ways. So I don't know. It's this now. It's like super tangent talk, but
yeah. But I'm going to give you a gambler question just so I can try to identify if I can remember seeing it as a kid.
Yeah.
Did they break his thumbs? Is that the film where he got his thumbs broken as a punishment for owing money?
I think
I remember that terrorized me when I was like 10 or 12 and saw it on TV with commercials when the vision of the thumbs being broken, and
that feels like that would be. I think he also broke his nose. I think he had bandage over his nose for half the movie.
I do remember that too.
Yeah,
God, I haven't seen that in a million years.
And once again, it's okay, but that one scene's really great.
Right. But that moment, and totally, Well, we can move on from the gambler.
Sure,
but all right. So we've covered so many things.
Yes.
And what are we missing? What other secrets do you have? Because like UCB came out late. A lot of things came out late.
Sure. I mean, and this is also a very non-linear show. So
although you didn't really get into the wrestling thing.
Yeah. Oh, the wrestling is like, I think there's some stuff in wrestling that filmmakers need to start using in their films. And
the writing is genuine.
Yes. Yeah.
It is genuinely well written.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because same thing as like you can't fake a laugh. The thing about wrestlers, they're going for different crowd reactions than laughs. I mean, there's wrestlers that are funny and stuff like that, but when you're a wrestler, you're hunting for what they call the pop. It's when the crowd goes, "Whoa!" Like they see something amazing, they do something amazing, and the stories they tell are like the big. It's not a secret. It's kind of like everything else with wrestling. But when the wrestlers are working each other, there's like a format that generally wrestlers have. There's the good guy, there's the bad guy. The baby face shines. They do all their great moves at the beginning and like, this guy's going to fucking win. He's going to beat this jerk. Then there's the cutoff, and that's where the bad guy does something to cheat to get an advantage, and the crowd goes, oh, this jerk, I can't believe he did that. And then there's a comeback and a cutoff, and every time the comeback gets bigger and the cutoff gets meaner, and then the heel gets what they call it getting the heat, where they're beating up the good guy, and that's what they'll do is they'll slow it down. They'll like make it boring because it's boring to watch a guy in a chin lock for 5 minutes. But if they do that long enough, and when the baby face starts going like, I'm going to get out of this thing, and I do a big drop kick, and then boom, back in the headlock, and everyone goes, ooh, and you get up and down. But like, what I'd say, like, I think that what filmmakers sometimes need to do in short films is just short films or anything, like just give people a reason to get out of their house, like really respect their time and really like give them something to see. And I think that could be a lot of things, and I think it could be an incredible action scene fight. It can be it could be like two beautiful people, like, and they're gonna kiss. You're like, hey, that's something to see. I watched From Dusk Till Dawn at Vidiot's, and I went on a whim. I was like in the area, and I was like, what's 8 o'clock? I'm gonna go watch it From Dusk Till Dawn. And it was this movie where at the beginning it's all just exploitation and blood, and it's a nasty beginning and all that stuff and whatever. And the crowd's kind of hooting and hollering. And it's a packed crowd. They all love to see it. And everybody's whatever. And then the scene where Selma Hayek comes out and dances with the snake. I swear to God, I was in the back of the theater, and I haven't seen this. It is a reaction because the whole theater shut up, and it was everybody's just kind of like watching with their like jaws on the ground, and she's like dancing, and it's like an incredibly sexy scene. And guys and girls and everybody just knows, like, oh my God, we are watching what was probably the most beautiful woman at the time in the world being sexy and cool and hip and scary, and like everybody's like, wow, we're watching something. This is some like spectacle. And I think that people need to like have a little bit more of that thing of like, why did you make us sit down and watch this? Like, what is there to see? Like, and then it's why I fell through the table. Like, I'll tell you, in terms of the writing process of Big Brothers, the scene opens with 5 guys in a car crying and eating tacos, and that was literally that was the kernel of the whole movie. I thought it was just going to be a sketch. It was like 5 guys, the car's too small, and they're crying and they're eating, and that's all it was. And then, and that kernel became the entire short. But I just knew. It's something to see 5 guys that big stuck in a car together because and like the backstory is like, oh, the rental car place gave him the wrong car or whatever. But it doesn't matter. It's just like it's just funny to see guys in this position crying for whatever reason. You say, well, what's the mystery here? Why are they crying? What's going on? And I tried that for every part of the film. And in fact, I'll tell you that, and this is like maybe it's too much of how the sausage is made, but when I did my final rewrite on the film to do it, I was making it for director because I didn't make it for festivals. And I don't know if you noticed this, but every scene is directed in a completely different way. Because what I needed to do was create something that I could send to somebody for potential jobs. And I wanted to basically say like, oh, you're doing this type of thing, go to this scene. You're doing this type of thing, go to this scene. So I have like a big long oneer in the thing. So it's a one unbroken shot. And I had a lot of gags. So if I was doing a commercial that had a lot of gags and had that, like, well, I can handle that. I had the fight scene. I had the cop scene, which was like I wanted to do that standard TV coverage. And then I had the kitchen scene, which was that scene was completely improvised. And so I wanted to make sure that when you watch that, every scene
you
felt
even
different.
have an angelic moment,
which the angelic?
Well,
with the mother, right?
With the mother, like,
right.
but like if you needed, if you needed to show that you can show a sensitive scene, like that's honestly, I recall I wept a little.
Yeah,
like it's an like. You had that because that was kind of an ethereal moment. Like,
yeah,
that was another thing you threw in.
That was so funny too because that one, yes, in the moment after the fight, they're having this thing, and Mitch like kind of looks up on his porch and he sees his mother, and it because the fight happens at night, but this clearly during the day, so it's either a flashback or a ghost. I originally written this as like literally like a ghost that was like in the house, but I kind of just left it into this one moment, but. I asked my friend Mary Ellen Garner, who's a great actor, to do this part, and I have this thing I'm like, oh my God, I felt so like embarrassed in a way. I'm like, dude, you're a really great actor. I'm gonna ask you to do like a one-shot thing where you have no lines. Is that okay? And she read the script and she was like, no, this is like a great part that any actor would want to do because you're limiting the amount of lines I have. So that means that I have to really maximize my screen time and be like, what can I do to give here and make that? And she's great. She has like a scene, like she's on screen for like 9 seconds in this whole thing, but she makes such an impact.
I remember it. I haven't. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's super memorable.
It's so fun to like, and that's why the collaboration is so fun because she took it for what it was, and she made it as big as she could, and she made it as important as she could. And when you have collaborators like that, you just can't go wrong. Like you just always win there.
That is, besides a great script and everything else you did, obviously your casting was critical, but you were aware of how important that was because you wrote an ensemble piece.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also did the thing where once I had it cast, I did like another rewrite for that cast. Like I write it for the voice, you do all that thing.
So smart, so smart. And And like you said, you had all the experience in performing and stuff. So yeah, you know how to listen to someone's voice and then writing it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, well, and I have a thing where, talking about like, oh, if I really wanted to like kind of like find a singular thing to do in town and just make money doing something instead of just doing a lot of different things and not making enough money. But I think I would enjoy being a casting director because I do get a charge out of like, I see an actor, and if I see an actor that I like, I do immediately go like, ooh, I need to like write something for them. Like I know, like when I see an actress do something, I go like, I know exactly what I would want them in, and I'm going to write something for them to do that. And that's like Mitch in this part was like, I wrote this thing for Mitch in 2016 because he was in a sketch team called the Birthday Boys. And I'm like, I want to work with Mitch. I want to do something with Mitch. And I wrote this whole thing around him. And it was fun to see him in that spot that I like. It feels good when you're like, I think he would do good in this spot. And you put him in this spot, and he does even better than you imagine. It's just a great, great feeling.
It's funny, not to blow smoke up your ass, but for me, my dream job for you would be showrunner because I feel like what I see in those 13 minutes, that dynamic presentation, that I really think it would be a great series, and I would trust you with any series, really, to be honest, because you cover so much ground.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's and I think that's like a thing, or why it's like, how do you get hired in this town? How do you get success in this town? And I think that one thing I see, there's people that I know that are like ultra successful, that are like really doing it. They're like, I feel like they're never faking it. I feel like that they're like, I've heard this. Somebody said that they were on a Second City team with Stephen Colbert, and they said when they were like in their 20s, they said nothing is going to stop Stephen Colbert from being a famous comedian. Like from the second they saw him, he was just obsessed with it, and that's what he did. And then he becomes the late night host, and his whole career. But somebody said, like, I mean, I guess it's easy with hindsight, but like that person did that. But I think the people that do it, they really, really love it, because you just need to have the passion for it, because it's so difficult. And if you don't actually like it, like I said, the smallest thing will kick you down the hill, and if you're not willing to get back up it, it's tough.
And I'm about to reveal my idealism more than I normally like to, but I would like to think that the people who do it for the wrong reasons don't do as well. Right. Because in the end, you have to love it, and you have to care about it. Yeah. Because, I've known, over the last 35 plus years, I've met so many screenwriters who, you meet people and they say, "Oh, I want to be a screenwriter." Like, "Oh, cool." And then they make a statement like, "What kind of movie do you want to make?" "I don't know. I want to end up with an office on a studio lot." Yeah. And you're like, "Oh, so you just want to be successful. You don't want to write. Yeah. You just want to be a success." And like, those people never make it.
Yeah. Well, they say like, "Oh, horror movies are doing good. Maybe I'll write a horror movie." Like, do you like horror movies?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good luck. Good luck.
Because you know what? There is 100 screenwriters that have been watching horror movies their whole lives, and they've written 7 horror movie scripts, and I bet their 8th horror movie script is better than your first one that you're just like, "Oh, I'm going to watch The Conjuring," and then just do what The Conjuring did, and like whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
I'm just going to do what's currently hip. You'll never be done in time for it to still be hip. Yeah, it's the funny thing is, when you're talking about watching films at festivals, what I always think is a smart strategy, because we see the trends. Like this is year 10 for us for both festivals. Is like, whatever you see when you're at the festivals, go, "So what didn't I see?" Yeah. Because that's what people start craving in the next year or so.
Yeah. I mean, it's very funny that I'm Not a Robot. One, because I did like that film, but the robot or android or like AI woman who is like being used as an object that becomes like free and sentient and then like breaks out of her situation. I saw 7 or 8 of those films, and it's like, but I don't think that's an unoriginality. I think that's something that's
if the execution, like you said, if the execution's there, it's worth watching.
But I think it's like it's on the tip of everybody's tongue, and people like artists will come out and make that. I'll tell you, this is the biggest like this.
Yeah, but why do they always make it a woman? But go on.
Well, I mean, it's like I think because I could see why, like in the society, things that happen, women are being replaced by this and that, and porn addiction, whatever this stuff. But I'll tell you this thing that I had with like. with a short film. When I was making Big Brothers, I had two ideas that were really at the forefront, and one was Big Brothers, but I already had that going. And another one that I thought was going to be like, oh, I'll do this, but I ended up seeing like it's too dark and nobody's going to like it. And it would have come out like last year, but it was about it's a story that's kind of based on a real story of some friend of mine, but it was about somebody that had a mastectomy because of cancer, and then she was going through all that, and then she got this bill for like $250,000 from the insurance company. She's like, hey, I don't know why this is. And she's calling up, and she's on the phone tree just like boom, 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 like calling all the people, and everybody's passing her off to the next person. She gets so frustrated that she ends up like getting a bunch of weapons, and then she kill bills her way through an insurance company, and everybody's basically it's basically like a phone tree call waiting list until she gets to the top, and then she kills the CEO, and then she finds out that like the CEO is not even in charge of the whole system, and it's still a problem. And I was like, I don't know, are people going to really be? It's so dark, the idea that people are going to respond to the idea of somebody killing a CEO, a healthcare CEO, because they're mad. And then like the Luigi thing happens, and I was like, oh, dude, that was on the tip. Like we didn't know it, but that was on the tip of everybody's tongue. People are frustrated with insurance companies, and it got put out in that way. But that's exactly the type of thing that an artist should be like jumping into. So sometimes you got to trust those instincts, and sometimes things come out in like I said, the woman companion, like the movie Companion, like those tropes like get worked out through like artistic stuff. Like there's, they always say vampires happen at certain times, like during recessions, like for whatever reason. But and then zombie stuff is done where economies are high because it's like consumerism and waste, right? And then vampires are like different because during recessions you're like holding in your house, and vampires enter your house. So I don't know. Like I think there's artistic things that like reflect culture back to you, and you make those things for those reasons. But if anybody could figure out and make a formula for it, they'd be rich. So nobody does. And you just kind of got to make what you make and figure it out. Yeah, because we're human beings, and human beings will continue to create. Yeah, and that's the magic of it, really. Is coming up with ideas, and then if it connects with the person that you come up with an idea, and I'm sure you say to yourself, "Good one, bad one, good one, bad one." And then, if it's good to you, and then it's good to the people you trust, right? You said you had some trusted people you ran your scripts by. Like, it's that is how the world, and I say this almost every fucking podcast, but human beings grew up around campfires for hundreds of thousands of years as hunter-gatherers. We would sit down at the end of our day. All we had was language. We didn't have the written word, and we just shared our day. We told stories. Mm-hmm. And we are a storytelling species. Yeah. And it's how we live. And we really do need film and television because we don't have a campfire anymore to sit around and talk. Right. Like, it's always interesting when you go on a trip with like a group of friends. Yeah. Like we did a 3-couple trip actually earlier this year. And like we didn't watch any screens for like 4 days. Yeah. Because what we did is we sat together and talked. Yep. And we didn't miss TV at all. Yeah. But I will watch TV after you go home because that's what we do every night. Yeah. We need that. We need that storytelling at the end of the day. I think it's like, it's a survival thing. We're pattern-seeking creatures, and stories are patterns that we like. Because like otherwise, if you break it down, like atoms are mostly empty space, but yet atoms like stop at the table, right? Like we're on a rock spinning in the universe. Like if we just like lived with the actual reality of the universe, boy, we just lose our minds. So we tell the stories and we go like, well, no, I'm not on a rock on a universe. I'm at Jeff's house talking on a podcast, and I'm sitting in a chair, and it's like no, I'm not. It's a guinea pig 6 feet away. Oh my gosh, a guinea pig. That does make me believe the universe is true and right. It's a beautiful little guy. But yeah, and I think the stories just kind of make sense of our world and give us like that sense of like wonder. I think it's all like large scale, really great to do. And like I said, the big difference between screening in a room with people and screening things at home is just it's a big part. I was at Friendship, the Tim Robinson movie just came out, and I was at the AMC 16 on a Friday night, packed theater for a comedy. And I just haven't been there in a packed theater for a comedy in so many years. And it was just like all these people laughing at the same thing. It was just, it felt so good and enriching. And I'm like, man, we need that theater experience to kind of stick around or, work. I mean, I loved all the Minecraft videos. Do you see all the stuff that's happening at the Minecraft movies?
No, I'm out of touch.
Was it Chicken Jockey? You heard about Chicken Jockey?
I don't know anything about it.
Dude, you should look up Chicken Jockey when we get done with this podcast. So, Minecraft movie, kids get to see it because kids love Minecraft. There's one scene, and I don't even know the why this happens. The one scene, there's a thing where Jack Black gets on a chicken and he yells something like, Chicken Jockey, and kids will jump out of their seats, throw their popcorn in the air, and just start going, Chicken Jockey, Chicken Jockey. And and theaters were losing their minds because they have to clean up all this popcorn and stuff like that. There was one theater that set off fireworks inside their like these kids set off fireworks in the theater. And I'm like, I know that's annoying for the people that work at the AMC, but I love that. I love that the kids are doing it. I love that the kids are having this moment with each other instead of, staying on a screen at their house. They're yelling Chicken Jockey with all their friends.
They're going Rocky Horror with the Minecraft movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, like there's just a handful of films that are that special, like Rocky Horror in the Room, like where the audience totally interacts with the film.
Yeah. I think that's just such a fun. I love that stuff. So like I said, apologize to the people working at the theaters, but I think it's a great thing that Chicken Jockey's getting kids back in and just having that moment with each other.
And the shared experience is huge.
Yeah. I still remember when I was in Anchorage, they played Scarface on, it was like a Monday Movie Classics. It was the only one theater that would do classics. They were playing Scarface, and there's this scene where Tony Montana gets arrested, and he tells the cop, he goes, when my fucking lawyers get done with you, you'll be working at an ice station in Alaska. And everybody in the crowd, it was like this slow, like, it goes, yeah. Then like the crowd just had this huge explosion because we just liked that he mentioned Alaska. We like everyone forgot about that line. But it was like, I just, that's a movie theater experience I remember, just those types of things.
Yeah, and you always will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superb.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, social media, websites, the places people should follow you?
Yeah. Follow me at Matt Mazany on Instagram. That's the one I'm still on. And then you can listen to me on the Ancient Aliens podcast. I'm the narrator of the Ancient Aliens podcast. And then on Podcast One. And you can also listen to me on the Get It Again podcast, where me and a couple guys, we talk about old wrestling shows. We're going over the ECW on Sci-Fi era. And so that's been a lot of, it's truly just like guys making jokes about wrestling. So it's a goofy fun.
Excellent. And like I told you, send me an email with links and we'll make them all clickable links in the show notes.
Yeah, but watch Crafty to go see Big Brothers. You can look up Big Brothers Crafty and you can find it on YouTube. But yeah, check that out and enjoy it. Let me know. Drop a comment, find my Instagram, drop me a line, man. I love when people watch it and talk about it.
Excellent. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
First, I'll thank you. Now I'll thank everyone who's listening. And I will get through the closing spiel, as I call it, which is thank you for listening to the Discover Indie Film Podcast. Be nice, like, subscribe, maybe even write a review if you want to be nice. Don't write a bad one, though, because be kind. We don't need trolls around here. If you want to learn more about this podcast, go to discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. As always, they say in the wrap-up, I don't do social media anymore. I am on Blue Sky, so if you go to the at DIF Wins on Blue Sky, DIF for Discover Indie Film, I respond, but the podcast producer Karina responds to everything else because I've given up on social media and I'm so happy.
Smart.
Thanks. And not the best, not the best thing to do professionally. Oh, geez, good time to cough. All right, we mentioned that Big Brothers played at and won awards at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival. We hold that every December, so you can learn more about it at ShermanOaksFF.com, and it's at ShermanOaksFF on social media. By the way, this year's the 10th anniversary, and we got some surprises planned. And its sister festival is Film Invasion Los Angeles that we hold every June. This June is the 10th anniversary. And motherfucker, that's like 7 weeks. So,
oh boy.
So bricks will come out of my butt pretty soon. But most of the ducks are in rows, I gotta admit. And because by the 10th year, you almost know what you're doing. Almost. So you can learn more about that festival if you go to filminvasionla.com, and it's at filminvasionla on social media. And I'll close with, I call those sister festivals. in January 2026, their cousin will be born in Lima, Peru, when we start Film Invasion Lima, which I'm excited about. Never been, but there were so many people talk to me about another Film Invasion. I was always like, if you do it right, let's do it. And it almost happened for London. It almost happened for the Bay Area. It always happened for Vancouver. Always, almost. And then now the fact that Lima, that we're getting into South America with a film festival.
That sounds awesome.
It's so fucking cool. I'm
Very
so
cool.
excited. And after I hit stop on the recording, I'll tell you how much the theater cost there compared to LA. But you can imagine.
Yes.
As soon as I heard, I was like, oh, we won't lose money the first year. Normally you got to lose money for like at least 3 years to get a festival off the ground.
Oh, man.
Needless to say, maybe I'm going to move to Lima and then fly up to LA for festivals. Who knows?
That might be the way to go.
It might be. Who knows? Closer to the equator. I've always told everyone, why do human beings live away from I want to be warm all the time. And you're from Alaska,
Yeah.
so you get it.
You know where my bucket list travel place is?
No?
Antarctica. That's where I want to go more than anywhere in the world. That's what, if I can make that work, I want to
I
figure
hear
it
it's
out.
pretty amazing. I do know it. I used to be with a travel agent, and a travel agent she knew did the thing where he took the cruise down to Antarctica,
Yeah.
brought a tuxedo, and he went and stood on the ice floe with 1,000 penguins, because the penguins don't see us as predators. You can walk right
Yeah.
up to them, and he took the tuxedo picture with 1,000 penguins, and it was freaking amazing.
Oh, man.
To be honest.
Oh, that's I want to go.
Right. So you've been near the North Pole. Now you want to be near the South
Yeah,
Pole.
exactly. I just yeah. They like
Cover your
stream it.
ground.
It'd be fun.
This is your planet.
Yeah, that's right. I can figure it out. I'll figure
Do
it
it. All right. Thank you so much, Matt.
out. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.